Good morning. It's Jason with Warrior 613. I hope all is well. I would say it's crazy times we're living in, but it's always crazy. Things are always up in arms. Things are always upside down. Things are always not what we would like for them to be in parts. And I think and since the fall, since sin entered this world, that's what's been the case. But things are being amplified, and people are hurting. And so just a quick story. I grew up playing sports, and I grew up doing a lot of endurance type things. After playing baseball, I got to play overseas and in college, and I really got into running, doing marathon things, just extreme feats of the body, at least for myself. Other people would laugh at some of them, but one of the things that I used to really struggle with, I had several friends that had some physical disabilities, some issues, some struggles that they had, and I would listen to them, and I didn't think a lot about them after that. I didn't really. It was not something that I really understood. It was not something that really gave me a hard time. I saw them struggle with certain things, but it really, once they were out of my sight, it really didn't. I didn't think they were faking it. I didn't think they were exaggerating. Sometimes you look at it, you don't have that struggle, and you start saying, I don't know if it's that bad. And so, so one thing that I've come to realize is, they probably weren't exaggerating. They were probably keeping a lot of things in, as I navigate the world in a wheelchair now. Things that you would never think anything about, and I look at it now as I go around places, and I'll have somebody say, okay, well, we'll just go right here. And I said, well, yes, it's probably a little difficult or tricky to navigate that terrain right there, or to go up those steps, or or it may be a path that is a 45-degree grade. Those things are a little tough. They don't always they aren't always conducive to me being able to live my life on that path, or to be involved in in that activity. And so one of the things is I think we're starting to see that in some of our other things, and it really hurts me right now. We've got I've got, you hear all your life. I grew up in a very small town. I had friends, black, white, Hispanic, and you hear certain things. And I think sometimes in a small town, it amplifies certain aspects of racism. But I think you're also insulated sometimes from those, from certain racial aspects, or racist aspects. And so it's one of those things that allows us to and apologize, my dog just came out of the door. My wife brought my dog out to go use the restroom, but so it threw me off a little bit. But as we go out, we hear certain things, and I think too many times we get caught up in our own struggles. Everybody's got different things that they're dealing with. Coronavirus, the riots that we have going on, and the riots aren't the major problem right now. They're the effects of what has been going on for a long time, since the fall of man. And I think that maybe, hopefully, this is a time where we start to hear each other a little bit more, When we start to see those struggles, and we don't have to understand them to hear them. As somebody struggles with something, I think if we truly carry out Christ's love for us, we don't want people to have to experience those things. We don't, just like our brothers and sisters in Christ wouldn't want us to have to carry those burdens. We should step in, even though if we don't see it, we don't understand it. We should try to understand it as best we can, but Galatians 6:2, carry one another's burdens, and in this you'll fulfill the law of Christ. There's going to be sin, there's going to be injustices, there's going to be things that happen, but we're not called to just be someone that has it happen around us, and as long as it's not happening to us, that it does not come to our thoughts. One of the things that I'm very thankful for that I got to see in a time where I didn't, my biggest worry was whether or not this 20-mile run goes well. Now it's, okay, is this place going to be somewhere where I can get into? Is this place going to be something, is this activity going to be something that I can not only participate in, but thrive in? And I think there's a lot of parallels in the struggles, things that people don't think about, as a white male, just getting pulled over, and it's not, I know a lot of police officers, they're great people. I know I've seen some things and heard some things from friends that would lead me to believe that there was inherent sin and evil intentions, and these are from people that they were probably not telling me the entire truth of what was going on, because they probably didn't feel like they would be heard, because they're so used to not having somebody, I won't say not take it seriously, but there's only a certain amount of time, I believe, just in my short time with this, that you just get tired of not being heard, and not tired, you just don't expect people to understand it, and so you internalize things, and that's not a good thing. As Christians, we should bear one another's burdens, and so I hate it, not only for everybody that has to deal with this on a daily basis, or sporadically, or whatever whatever your experience has given you, and you've seen, we're supposed to take that on for one another. And the love of Christ does wonderful things, but that's when we fully embrace the message Christ has for us, and that's to love one another. That's also to hold others accountable, to call out, and hold people accountable when His commandments are broken. And a lot of that is happening right now. It's been happening. It's been happening since the beginning of time, but sometimes we don't see it until it comes into our realm, our small little bubble. And so, not trying to ramble with this, but it's just one of those things when people are mad. And it's justified. I'm not saying all actions are justified for that anger, but when people are not heard, and when they get tired of it, that's when things happen like this. But we've got to step in as Christians, and quit just sharing it on social media, with a small blurb of what you think. And it's very hypocritical of me right now as I film a video to talk about it, but we have got to bear one another's burdens, and we've got to take on things that we don't necessarily have to deal with. We've got to not just hear people, because sometimes that, I've found that in my situation too. You have people that hear you, and then when they hear you and they just go about their business, 2 days later, and put you in a situation that maybe is not, maybe contradicts exactly what you were trying to explain to them. I think, I try to give people grace with that, in that they don't understand it, just as I did not understand it with some of my friends that told me about it. And as much as I want to understand, I'm not going to be able to understand some of the racial situations that people tell me, that some of my friends tell me that they experience, and that's okay for me not to understand it. But I have to not only hear them, but empathize with them, and try to help support that, and try to help call out situations that put them into those predicaments. And that happens when we start holding each other accountable, when we start really forcing people to think about what they're doing. And some people, I don't want to keep rambling on about this. I just, it's one of those things that we see it come and go, and it comes to the forefront, and it comes, people, when their cities start getting torn apart, and things start becoming a real thing for them, people listen. But we've got to listen for more than 2 weeks or a news cycle. We've got to, like I said, at the end of the day, Galatians 6:2, bear one another's burdens. And, in that we'll fulfill the law of Christ. And, we've got to love one another. We've got to empathize with each other, whether you're black, Hispanic, white, Asian, in a wheelchair, have a mental hurdle that you have to face, unless you, when you don't look like me, that's when Christ's love comes in. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. But we've got to get there. And it only comes when you truly stop worrying about yourself and start worrying about the person that you supposedly love. And so, not to ramble on, and there's I've sat on doing this for a little while. I think the biggest thing is I'm tired of sitting on it. The world's showing us why we can't sit on this, and why we've got to come together. We've got to quit just talking about checking boxes with diversity, and diversity only works when there's love involved, when Christ's love comes in, because if not, you're just putting a bunch of people together that don't want to hear each other, that don't want to, that are just divided. And Christ's word is the unifying. That is the unifying factor in all of this. If you take Christ's word out of this, there's really no reason to do it. There's really no reason You can go to your corner, you can go to your team, and you can live your life worried about yourself. As Ravi Zacharias said, if with no, if there's no God, there's no reason for morality. There's no reason to carry out the commandments there. And I am definitely butchering the greatest Christian apologist of all time by very flippantly and simplistically saying that, but there's only one thing that's going to fix this. So I love you all. I mean that. If there's anything I can do, let me know. jason.warrior613@gmail.com. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you around. Love you guys.